Mariah, you look like the kind of person who might know this. Who was the lead singer for The Loving Spoonful?
Oh, God. I know it, but I can't remember his name.
Because I was going to say, welcome back to our podcast listeners, and then I thought, oh, that guy was the lead singer of a band that didn't create the song Welcome Back, but he created it as a solo artist.
Oh. No, I mean, I would know normally.
Is it John something?
Yes. But
Not John Fogerty?
No.
John Legend?
No.
John Entwistle?
No. That is really bad.
Remember the song, it's like, Welcome Back, but
John
in the song...
Entwistle is worthy of so much more remembrance than the guy who sang for The Lovin' Spoonful. Come on.
Yeah, John Entwistle died, didn't he? I'm sorry. Rip, rest in peace.
If they buried him in the skeleton suit, that's the only fitting
Hot
way.
Times, Summer in the City. That's not a good track.
It is, but I mean, he's just not iconic. He's one of those...
Daydream. It's a
those
day
are
for
all
a daydream.
great, but the band wasn't cool. It's like how...
So you're saying
Billy
Welcome
Joel
Back.
is great, but he's not cool.
Are you going to go on record saying Welcome Back is not a cool song?
Yes.
It sounds like a sex cult has had a 14-year-old escapee and they've managed to bring her back, and that's the way the leader would say Welcome Back.
God,
It's
that
very
reminds
creepy.
me of Pinocchio. We were just watching that.
I think
and
that depiction was worthy
Pinocchio
of more
gets kidnapped and
notice
sent
from
to...
you. You just ignored it.
No, Pinocchio gets kidnapped and sent to Pleasure Island, where
Welcome back.
where boys go, and they say when they come back they won't be boys. That is fucking creepy.
At this point, would it be...
That was a film for kids.
How hacky would it be for me to make a Bryan Singer joke? How overdone would it be?
No, you want to scare the kids a little bit to keep them in line, to teach them some lessons about life, but I think that's a little too far for a kid's film.
Have them stay in the pool, but you can keep your clothes on.
Were people that naive? Did the adults not get it? Did no one else see how weird that was?
Are we talking about Pinocchio or Bryan Singer?
You're talking about Bryan Singer. You
And
keep
you were
trying
talking
to
about
push
Pinocchio.
that joke, and I'm just like in shock over how creepy Pinocchio actually was.
So
there was a reason it
you're
bothered
in shock
me when I was
over
a kid.
a fictional story, but not something real. Like,
well, I mean,
the casting process of the average Bryan Singer film.
but I don't know that. I don't know what's going on with Bryan Singer. I've heard the stories like everyone else. The jokes are funny, haha, but we don't really know. Maybe Ian McKellen knows, but I don't know.
Bryan Singer could be the nicest man in Hollywood,
He
and this
could
could be
be.
a huge misunderstanding, just like the thing with Richard Gere and the Gerbils. It could be the cruelest thing in existence.
Maybe somebody else
he could be
is
a Buddhist.
angry about his success and they want to take him down. Who the fuck knows? If it's true, it's awful. If it's true, it's a horrible
But
abuse
it just goes
of power.
to show, if you throw out a story that kind of has a ring of truth that seems like it's possible, it can just get a life of its own and just snowball, and you can't stop it.
And that's why, I mean, the internet, it's so powerful and so dangerous, and there needs to be more awareness about destroying someone's reputation.
So having said
before
that,
you even know the details of a story.
Why did the gerbil story have a ring of truth?
I don't know. We need content cop. We need somebody to come on and actually open up a case on some of this shit. I think the gerbil story had a ring of truth because it was about another actor who it might actually be true about, but I still...
Michael Douglas?
Oh my God. When somebody...
Elton John?
When I was younger and someone explained the gerbil story to me, that was horrifying. It stayed with me for months.
Lemmy Winks.
Oh God, Lemmy.
And there was another story about Elton John and having gallons of ejaculate being pumped from his stomach, and it was also...
Which is not even possible.
No, that would have killed anyone. That would have killed Mr. Hands.
And yet
that would
people
have
who
killed
don't
the horse
really
that killed
understand,
Mr. Hands.
I guess math. Or how the universe works, or just things that make sense. They
never studied Archimedes and the theory of displacement and fluid, and one thing doesn't have anything to do with the other.
They just the rabble, the masses. They get carried away.
The gerbil, the rabble.
No, I think Richard Gere kind of looks like a gerbil, and that's why that took root. Which is very sad.
If someone had tried to spread the same rumor about Bill Maher, it would have spread faster.
Yes. He has a very sleazy vibe, and I like Bill Maher. but he has a sleazy vibe.
And looks like a gerbil.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Do you remember
to that.
the remake they made of A Nightmare on Elm Street with Jackie Earle Haley? Or
Yes.
did you forget about that? And one of the criticisms of the character
Yes,
design
everyone
was
no,
that
I
he
didn't
looked
forget
like
about
a
it, but I think
gerbil.
a lot of people did.
Do you remember that charge?
No.
Did you ever see the footage of what he looked like as Freddy? He looked like a gerbil.
He's a great actor.
So I was going to make the joke, what if that Freddy was the spirit of the gerbil? Come back to seek vengeance.
No, I don't want to think of a sweet, innocent, vulnerable. That's the whole point with Pinocchio, that vulnerable
You don't want
creatures in the world being taken advantage of.
You don't want to think of the gerbil the same way Kurt Cobain once thought of Francis Farmer.
I guess. They don't come back as nightmares, little vulnerable things that get crushed by the world.
Francis Farmer?
I don't remember. But I don't remember Nirvana's take on that. It's been too long.
She'll come back as fire, leave a blanket of ash on the ground.
You know, that's hopeful thinking from someone. They don't want to see someone so delicate crushed by the world, so they want vengeance on their behalf.
Marilyn
but the
Monroe
truth
is another delicate flower that got crushed.
The truth is they don't become that. They're pure. I think that they just pass on, hopefully, to something better.
I think that's the answer. That's probably the most truthful, but it's not fun. People want to think about revenge.
People like war.
Yes.
People want drama. People want war. They want us versus them. They don't want to have to explain themselves. They don't have to make a case. They want to throw out barbs.
Except when I'm listening to Dark Side of the Moon and Us and Them starts playing, I always skip it. I think it's really a slow drag of a song. So there are circumstances where people do not want us and them.
No. So like Baby Yoda and the merchandise, the merch. He really dropped the ball on that, because us versus them, he could have drawn a lot of people in with that idea.
This is the face of a man desperately searching for the name of an old 60s singer, like their lost car keys.
Should I wait in the parking lot?
No.
Of the Denny's?
Just stuff me into a refrigerator, like Bruce Willis did to those poor people he murdered in The Fifth Element in his apartment. God. I don't know why I said that. What were we talking about?
No, I was thinking all Thanksgiving I felt like Mila Jovovich, because I kept going and getting these piles of starch and sugar, and just they were massive, and I was actually filling out the loose skin of my stomach. The pocket was becoming rounded by the food.
Which film did she do that in?
The Fifth Element, chicken, and she kept microwaving this giant chicken and eating the whole thing.
Well, I'm
and
thinking
then getting more.
Of Big Trouble in Little China, that the man just keeps expanding and then he blows up.
That wasn't Mila Jovovich. I think Disney is definitely shitting themselves. Like, they do not get why this thing they allowed to happen has become so big, because there are no big names, no pretty faces, no sexy bodies, no
shitting themselves
woke crap going on. They don't get why. They obviously don't get it, because they didn't even foresee that Baby Yoda would be great Christmas merch.
Do you think Anthony Daniels ever shit himself in the C-3PO outfit?
Definitely.
Do you think he wore diapers?
He minted it in gold. He probably, you know how he is.
And gave it to George Lucas as a gift for such nice treatment on the set.
And Lucas,
making me stand around in this hot gold gay robot costume for hours at a time in the Tunisian desert. Here's my shit.
That's like early bag of dicks delivered to your door. Early, just like, here's my shit on your front door.
Louis C.K. Nice.
Yeah.
Love you.
But my point is, Disney did not foresee The Mandalorian doing anything, because they just can't understand why it would. The things they associate with success and sellability are not present in The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is like a fan fiction.
I think it
might as well be.
I think it was largely conceived of as a property meant to sell their streaming service.
Yeah, we need something extra. Let's get somebody on this.
It was sort of like when Amazon Prime was being premiered, they were using the Grand Tour to sell it. Like it was one of the first big Amazon productions.
So let's just pick up from there.
So, oh man, that RuPaul's so tall. Hey, Ru tall, am I right? Yes. The childlike so wonder that spread on your face when you realized it rhymed is something I will remember forever.
Yes, and that is something that, you know what? That's everybody. That's, again, I think that's why...
You were like Gertie when she first saw E.T., just childlike wonder.
Well, I think, okay. But again, I think Disney, they focus so little on storytelling and world building and they do not start from there,
Wait,
obviously.
when Gertie first saw TV, she screamed.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Anyway. And who wouldn't? It's like seeing Danny DeVito naked in your closet. Oh no, it's a gentle space alien. Shut the fuck up.
Well, at that point, the only thing you can say is, well, I've made it this far without being raped. Farewell, innocence.
Talk about Pleasure Island. Jesus. They don't even have to stamp the kids and mail them off. It's right there. The ETs are beaming down.
Pleasure windowless cell.
Poor Danny DeVito. I love him so much.
He knows what he looks like.
But we shouldn't have to remind him. There's so many other wonderful, charming tributes to Danny DeVito.
He's quite old. He's approaching 80.
The bear, so Shannon. Jack the bear.
Just enjoy what's left.
Okay.
That sounded terrible.
Didn't he just do some wonderful rampaging with The Rock?
He could have.
They wedding crashed or something.
No, that was Jack Black.
Okay.
If you're thinking about Jumanji.
No, Danny DeVito.
I thought you'd actually mistaken Jack Black for Danny DeVito in Jumanji.
They're very...
It's about 30 years difference in age.
They're not exactly alike, but there's a lot of similarity.
Well, it just goes to show if you want to stay...
Which each one would, I'm sure, find very flattering.
There are many tricks to staying young forever, and one is getting really fat, because then people won't go, oh, look at the old guy. They'll just say, look at the fat guy.
I want to go on record right now. Jack Black, his voice is fucking amazing. He's a great singer. And then also, he's very with the times. He was being interviewed by Jacksepticeye, and he knew who he was. I mean, of course, the co-star, what was her name?
Okay, for one, why do you feel you need to go on the record with these things?
Because I like Jack Black, and I think someone should say that. A lot of people like him, I think, for not the wrong, but just the common reasons. And I think that's an uncommon reason. He's a very smart man.
So
he's a very interesting man, and he's a very talented man.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I saw your podcast, and I'm so happy you went on public record that you like me.
No, I'm not looking for that. I just seriously like Jack Black for those reasons. I think that he's very talented. And
I'm going to go on record by saying I've enjoyed his character that he's played in every film.
I'm glad I set that up for you.
I'm being sincere. I've enjoyed your character.
This stupid thing. Fuck.
That's not fair. I never saw Bernie, but no one else did either.
I did. I saw Bernie.
Was it a different character?
Let's go along with the theme of me being out of the box and seeing the things that other people did not see.
You saw Bernie naked in a closet next to Danny DeVito? Of course, I'm talking about Bernie Sanders.
Why did you do that? I'm just seeing wrinkled old noodles with excess amounts of cheese. Those Dan Rather Gorgonzola Hot Pockets.
Okay, so since this is I don't know what you just said, but I'm moving on. Something about Hot Pockets. Since this is a rambling...
The man pockets.
So the pockets are on his body.
No, the pockets are in the butt.
What's in them? Pockets are to be filled, Mariah. Fill these.
Gorgonzola. Old Gorgonzola. Aged Gorgonzola. Oh, but I mean... Okay.
This is a hot mess of a podcast.
So what's in the pocket?
And we're taking all kinds of left and right turns. So just tell me about Jack Black's performance in Bernie, and did he actually play a different dramatic character than he usually plays?
I think so. I think it was good. I think it was interesting. I liked him. I like Shirley MacLaine. She's always good.
Don't you think his best performance was in Waterworld?
Oh my God, what?
He was one of the bad guys under Dennis Hopper.
I didn't know that. Oh man.
I think he's flying a plane at some point and Kevin Costner just shoots him down.
Even if I don't remember seeing this, in my mind, I just know how bad it must have been. Because I know what he looked like when he was younger and the type of part they'd have him play. Just this wilding bad guy.
I think he was flying through the air and he saw Kevin Costner drinking his own urine and then his plane crashed. I just made that up.
Yes. Because anybody who... I think that would actually happen now because Costner's very eco-friendly. Maybe he has a machine that is turning his urine into water now. And he's back there
his
drinking.
brother made it.
Oh, no. They're drinking their own urine for the properties. I mean, aren't there people who drink their own urine to gain all of the, what is it, health benefits of that practice? I've seen the YouTube video. There's some YouTube video of yogis doing this. Mm-hmm. Maybe Costner he's on that plane now. He's on that level.
I'm glad that before Alan Rickman died, he got to look down and see Kevin Costner that one day. Be like, holy
drinking
shit.
His own urine?
No, he was, it was
I
on
know,
the,
because it's the story I told you.
Yes, tell
because
it again.
I know too much about this shit. Rickman was... So Alan Rickman is, he plays these sort of, cutthroat characters and angry, devious characters, except in Truly Madly Deeply, which I heart.
No one gives a shit. Keep going.
Yeah, okay.
And I would have said that to Alan Rickman's fucking face, too.
And he would have said, I know. You're right.
I know.
But Alan Rickman, he's this very gentle soul. He is the character. In real life, he is the character from Truly Madly Deeply, and he's very gentle, and he likes. I found that he does like to praise other actors, and he wanted to praise Kevin Costner he was telling a story about the making of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and everybody knows it for the very bad in and out kind of accent that Costner was attempting. But it is a good film. Costner is a good director. He made something entertaining.
What was the story?
The story is that Rickman had sort of forgotten some of his lines during a scene he was running with, what's her name?
Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio.
Yeah. And they were doing this scene, and they were sort of on this bridge or parapet or something.
That's Andy McDowell for the younger viewers. That makes no sense.
Touché. But he was down. Somebody
2 minutes.
Somebody started giving him his lines, whispering them, and he looked down, and in the mud underneath the wood was Kevin Costner, and that he was just that hands-on.
So he could have
he was not afraid to get into it.
He was the star. He wasn't the director. He could have taken the day off. He could have been in his trailer, but he chose to get his ass down on set and help you move boxes.
Oh, dude, I thought he did direct that.
No, that was directed by Kevin Reynolds. I've
completely stolen something from an unknown person, and I don't care.
But Kevin Reynolds also directed The Bodyguard. Mm-hmm. Did you think Costner directed that too?
Yes.
So everything directed by Kevin Reynolds, you give Costner credit for?
Well, Costner has no problem with that,
Kevin
I'm
Reynolds
sure.
is watching this. He's just like, oh, fuck me.
Yes, fuck you.
And with that...
It's all a business decision, and that's why the story's so shit. They're not even thinking about the story.
Asians like fat people. So, big mistake.
Yes, they've lost everyone who loves Korean dramas, I guess.
Yes, I've heard over and over again online that if you're fat and you travel to Asia, like a woman in the street will just approach you and say, "Why are you fat?"
I've heard similar things. That sounds harsh.
They don't have the same sort of social restrictions that we do about just judging someone horribly right to their face.
Well, I was just reading something about...
They'd probably be wondering how she could fit in the ships. That's why I was asking earlier, have you seen, forget her gender, an overweight fighter pilot? Wouldn't a star military have standards for...
Hey, John Candy. Spaceballs.
Well, that was a comedy, and that was part of what was funny, that this big manimal was being stuffed.
Did you just call John Candy a manimal?
His character was a manimal. He was
Wasn't
literally
he like a
manimal.
dog man?
Yes, half man, half mole.
So he came out of he was one of those dog men that's terrorizing people around Skinwalker Ranch. What if you saw a naked John Candy running down the road with dog legs, chasing, like keeping up with your car, and you're just like trying to get the fuck away from him?
If I were in Asia, I'd say this is why white expats should be banned from the country. I can't tell you how many live leak footage I've seen of a naked British guy running through the streets of Hong Kong and Asians pointing and laughing. They get drunk, they get naked.
So that's not
like Newton's seventh law. Australia, drink, naked. Asia, Filipino Hapa babies, abandoned.
Okay, but I'm trying to talk about The Mandalorian.
And I'm trying to talk about a major problem in the
talking
Philippines.
about
There's
is
a
so
major
much
problem
funnier,
in the
but
Philippines of
with John Candy.
Australian men having sex with Filipino women, Filipinas,
no.
getting them pregnant, and getting the fuck out of there. And these babies, these half white, half Filipino babies, are raised knowing they don't look like other Filipinos, but they don't know who their fathers are. And I've seen several articles about it. And I wish I could say that I was really sad, but I just didn't feel much of anything when I read these articles, and I frankly don't know why I'm talking about it.
That's another thing I was going to mention. I just read an article about how we have new evidence that the way different cultures perceive emotions are, they're not the same.
Is that cultural or is it racial?
Cultural. I mean, it's just something that is it's passed along, and it becomes more ingrained. These ideas like that you can just harshly
Mariah,
judge someone to their face.
What about skull shapes?
I'm no Dan Aykroyd, and I don't have any vodka, but I think we should get back to The Mandalorian. This is swampy Dagobah territory shit. But I think The Mandalorian...
And we don't have at hand a green midget to use magic to raise our ship out of the swamp, so we're just going to have to live there and build a fort.
No, we don't have that. So in this fort, I would like to talk about The Mandalorian. And it reminded me
There's a Yoda connection.
Yes, there is. It reminded... And that's not Yoda.
It's Baby Yeed.
It reminded me so much of fan fiction, because in fan fiction you don't have any big actor or actress, with their name up on a header drawing people in. It is nothing but this is good writing, and word of mouth and view count and kudos have drawn you to this one. People read this and liked it.
Can you
and
believe
the story
Disney
has
messed
people
that up so badly? They didn't have any Baby Yoda merchandise for Christmas because they didn't anticipate that was going to be a virally popular character, and they lost billions.
I think Disney's fucking a lot of shit up. They have lost the plot.
George Lucas could have seen that coming.
No, that's the one thing George Lucas would have nailed doggishly.
Baby Yoda toys on the shelves for Christmas. It's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a good George Lucas?
Yes, and that's exactly what he was saying. He was probably sitting in front of his TV with his
This is going to be the most popular character we've had since Jar Jar.
He's got his Hungry Man TV dinner, and he's sitting in front of his TV with the TV tray
next
and
to
the
his
clicker.
lesbian daughter.
Yes, and they're like, he's like saying to her, like,
I'll cut that
baby, Baby Yoda toys. I can't do his voice, but he's why aren't they doing this? This is good. Like, he's saying to himself, like, Mandalorian, like, oh, it's kind of a shitty story, but Yoda, they went right there. Where are the toys, though? Where are the toys? The merchandise. Give me the merch. Show me that green merch. Show me that green.
It's like, okay.
I'm gonna stop there.
Yoda, the Mandalorian. You said that's not Yoda, but the internet has called it Yoda. And so don't the people...
Because the
like
internet
Hillary
boils
Clinton,
everything down to its basest,
like Hillary
shittiest
Clinton once
form.
said, it takes a village, it takes an internet to raise a Yoda, and the internet has decided that that baby is Yoda. So I don't care what the writers have in mind. That's Yoda.
You can say that. That's why the internet's so
Even
powerful.
though this baby...
That's why it's so serious.
Even though the Mandalorian
People
exists on the same...
destroying you online.
Yes, even though the Mandalorian exists on the same timeline as an elderly Yoda, and that makes absolutely no sense, the internet just decided that's Yoda.
Okay, so Yoda. Baby Yoda. Why are there no Baby Yoda toys, Disney? That was a huge fail.
Okay. Raya, I know The Mandalorian has been weighing heavily on your mind. Have you watched all of it?
Like a lead weight.
Have you watched the whole series? Because
up to the latest point, yes.
Okay, so you've seen episodes. I haven't, because I haven't watched any since the night we watched the first three.
There are some things I would love to discuss, but you haven't seen them.
So
and I don't want to spoil it.
Thank you. I don't care
but
that much.
I can talk about the bones of this series. I can talk about what I think they're doing right.
But can we talk about The Bone Collector with Denzel Washington? Never mind. Keep going.
God, can Angelina Jolie talk about it? Does she remember that time? Is she the bone collector? Were the bones her bones? Okay.
And if John Voight died, would she collect his bones? Okay, yeah, I'm editing that out. That just
yes, she would.
Sense.
She'd take them to a temple in where does she like to go? Cambodia. She'd take them to a Cambodian temple and have them consecrated, and he would be shitting himself in the afterlife.
So she would
what she would do.
She would rechristen him in the temple.
I'm saying she would have no regard for her father's wishes.
Sort of like how Mormons will baptize people as Mormon who have died. They're like, they'll take Albert Einstein and say, "You're Mormon now." They do that. They have ceremonies. That's real. So she would do that with John Voight's remains and
that's
say,
basically
"You are now a liberal Buddhist."
But that's what all social justice warriors seek to do. It's indoctrination.
Well, I thought they did the opposite.
Reason.
I thought they took historical figures that people like and say, "Well, no, we can't like them now because of this detail of their life."
That too, but I think they would take a family member and try to turn them.
Well, you know the expression, history is like a foreign country. Someone should tell SJWs that we really can't judge people in history by our standards. It's the further back you go, the more ridiculous that is.
There are things that are wrong no matter what time in history they occurred, but...
So you're saying Attila the Hun wasn't awesome?
I don't know enough about Attila the Hun. I'm not like the Hun historian.
Rape. Lots of it.
Yeah, that's bad. I'm going to come out and be against rape. It's bad. It shouldn't happen.
Jack Black is also happy about that.
Yeah.
That you're on record with that.
I've come out in favor of he and Danny DeVito exploring each other's hot pockets.
And for Jack Black, on the subject of rape, I'm simply going to say you play the same character in every film. Okay,
he does,
Mandalorian.
but I still think he's very talented. I just don't think it's acting. I think it's singing.
Except for Bernie apparently, which I haven't seen and I won't see. So the Mandalorian.
No, you're right. It's good. His acting is good, but it's like Bruce Willis tier acting.
Okay, but
he's playing himself.
Is it just his same character on low instead of high?
Yeah, I don't know. Bernie's a little bit different, but I mean, I feel like it's another. Acting is weird.
It's another Jack Black performance.
But I mean, if an actor pulls out an aspect of themselves and tweaks it for a character, that's acting. I don't know enough about acting. I liked the film. It was good. He was convincing. I believed his character. I can't, put it down. But anyway, beyond that, we're talking about The Mandalorian.
Sorry I ever mentioned The Bone Collector.
I'm not. That was kind of funny.
But I had to because you used a very unsettling metaphor. Okay, the bones of the Mandalorian.
No, I don't think that's unsettling. I mean, it's a paleontological...
Okay, Miss Cleo, what do the bones tell you?
Okay. You just made it... I was making it sort of like anthropological.
Was it cards or bones?
Huh?
Did she say, what do the bones tell me, or what are the cards?
It doesn't matter. You took it into like sort of a voodoo area. We're throwing some chicken bones on the floor. But I
it's more like, what do the orange
Disney
jumpsuits tell her, because she's in fucking prison.
Dude, Disney should have thrown some chicken bones on the floor. They are so out of touch. They, again, as you pointed out, even George Lucas, well, especially George Lucas, would have said, hey, you need some Baby Yoda merch for Christmas. They had so little expectation for this, so little thought for this.
I feel like
it's success.
He's the Sun Tzu of like selling toys. You know, Sun Tzu in The Art of War. George Lucas is like the art of merchandise.
Yes, the Paul brothers totally could take some notes. Not that they're not very good at what they do, which is apparently drama and merch.
Yes, they will be sobbing into their $100 bill. What the meme? You know the meme I'm talking about. They didn't take notes from George Lucas.
Well, that's the problem. I don't think they're going to keep their money. I think they're going to waste it.
They're Zoomers, Mariah. They don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah.
If you showed him a picture of George Lucas, they'd think, oh, is that Teddy Roosevelt?
And George Lucas is crying all the way to his, $1 billion spread with his freezer full of Hungry Man TV dinners that will never end. It's just, they keep coming.
So
he can buy food at the mall anytime he wants.
If you buy a freezer full of Hungry Man TV dinners, won't eventually you get to dinners that have expired? Shouldn't you just buy those fresh?
No, he's Stephen Root in News Radio. It's like, I've been watching the tape. I know this food is expired, but I can't stop eating it.
I know the value of it, Buck. Still tastes fine.
Yeah, you're saying Stephen Root, he was nonsensical about why he was eating it. He's like, I don't know. He's just a crazy billionaire. But George Lucas, I gesture as if he's back here behind me, a specter.
If you never watched...
A spectral Jedi ghost.
Jedi ghost in or outside of the closet with Danny DeVito.
But George Lucas, his reasoning would be different. It would be more about, hey, there's
out
an
of
opportunity
context, that
here.
sounds like I just said Danny DeVito was gay and in the closet. No. That's a callback to another joke. I know. I want to go on record by saying Danny DeVito is a very virile heterosexual man, and I know this is a fact.
You've had sex with Danny DeVito.
Just to confirm his heterosexuality.
Are you bragging? Is this name dropping? I don't believe it. When did you meet Danny DeVito?
Some cultures believe that you're only gay if you're a bottom. So if you're doing the penetrating, it's still straight.
So you're saying you penetrated Danny DeVito?
I am absolutely not saying that.
No, you're saying he's not gay. You are. You penetrated you.
It was the only thing I could do to say thank you for directing War of the Roses, which is a very underrated film starring Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner.
Who may or may not have had sexual relations with a hamster then pawned it off on Richard Gere. Which was acceptable because Gere kind of looks like a hamster. And then you said Danny DeVito looks like a hamster.
Related to my desire not to spend time in a courtroom. Michael Douglas did nothing with anything, including Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I used to have this fantasy about, those prawns they used to make people ejaculate.
No, I don't know them.
They put it in people's buttholes to make them ejaculate when they can't.
So, The Mandalorian.
I'm just playing something
I'm gonna save you.
My own mind.
I'm going to save you from the horrific embarrassment of whatever you were about to say.
Okay, The Mandalorian.
Okay. I might seriously cut some of that out because I really, really, really don't want to get flagged and have a adult content notice placed on whatever we upload. Do not cut out the photo. You know how you'll click on a video and it will say you must be logged in to prove you are over 18 before you can watch this video. I don't want that to happen to this upload.
Just cut off at Michael Douglas.
Okay,
I'll just start here.
Yes.
And anyway, Mandalorian, I feel like Disney did not foresee that being anything special. They did not prepare for that. They didn't even have the foresight to see that Baby Yoda was going to be a thing.
Well,
they needed some merch for that.
They had all of the evidence in the world
Christmas
that it
is
was
coming.
going to be a good hit, because it seems like everything Jon Favreau touches makes millions, tens of hundreds of millions of dollars. Jumanji, The Lion King, Zathura.
I think
Zathura.
I think because he's done so much with Disney, they just thought, oh, he can just churn something out for us for this streaming service real fast, and they didn't think about it beyond that. And he said to himself, nobody's watching me. I can kind of do whatever the fuck I want right now. I'm going to make something really special that isn't reliant on a pretty face, a big name,
yes, and then he made
political
Chef.
ideology. Okay, Chef, don't speak to me of Chef. I think I have strong opinions.
Okay.
You're derailing my conversation.
Okay. But a lot of people really like Chef, and they're not on board with you on that.
And I am not on board with Chef.
Okay, so they were not prepared for the viral popularity
you win
of the mandolin.
some, you lose some. You take some chances. He took some chances, and some of them worked, and some of them didn't, in my opinion.
Well,
but with the
Jon
Mandalorian,
Favreau's
I feel
fleet
like
of maids tell him that he won every single one of them.
I really want to make a bad joke about
when he
happy
leaves his
endings.
when he leaves his mansion in the morning.
His mouth. That was right.
When he leaves his mansion in the morning,
I can go two different ways
like
with that.
the
Apple in the
Dukes.
mouth or made. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yes, you are. Like the Dukes in Trading Places.
Not the
his
Dukes
help.
of Hazzard. Now that is really bad territory. We do not want to talk about those Southern boys.
No.
Anyway, go on.
No, you go on.
No, you
fucking
go
go
on.
on.
Fuck you.
Okay. You're the one. You're pushing harder for a Mandalorian discussion than Danny DeVito
'Cause I think
pushed
it
his
needs to
cock
be
up
had.
my ass.
Did he have to push very hard?
Okay, I'm cutting every single bit of the last 2 minutes out.
That was awesome. Okay, Mandalorian. I think Disney was not prepared for that success. I think they threw it to Favreau because they thought that was an easy softball. He's just going to take care of that thing they need for their streaming service. And the fact that they did not foresee the need for Baby Yoda merch for Christmas says it all. They did not think at all about this. And the fact that Favreau, I mean, he's done the big budget shit. He's done the big name shit. And he didn't hear. He thought, hey, I could do something really special. I can prove that I can handle something really beautiful. And he just eschewed big names and pretty faces and even a face at all. It is torn down to what actual fan fiction is, and I say fan fiction and not fiction because I like to talk about fan fiction. I think it doesn't get talked about enough, and it is this huge thing. I mean, AO3, Archive of Our Own, which is a big archive of fan fiction on the internet, and they feel that they call them the reliquary or whatever of transformative works. They want to preserve great writing on the internet that could be lost.
AOC?
AO3.
Okay.
And
I thought you were
every
making more
year,
political statements.
Well-
So AOC, nifty.org, all the big ones.
No. What was it? What the fuck? I'm tired. What was Biden 3030? What the long internet name that he had that made no sense?
You're making a callback to a debate performance where he tried to drop a
very long,
he tried to plug
ridiculous
his website, but did it very confused me every way. Where it became clearly obvious that he didn't know the name of his website and maybe didn't know what a website was.
And plus the name of the website.
He gave it as a phone number. He said, just call, and then he gave the website.
No, I didn't even hear that part. I just knew the website name was
like the streams crossed in his mind. Phone,
like he couldn't
website.
get JoeBiden.com. They couldn't have gone and bought that.
He basically just said, go down, get on the party line in your household
said,
and make sure everyone's off the party line.
Go
no
to
one's listening in.
Alley. Turn down Nocturne Alley 5 paces. Pick up the pickled newt. I don't know, but I feel. Oh God, I don't know where I was going with that, but so I feel like
Disney dropped the ball. Jon
They
Favreau
dropped the ball
delivered.
but why did they drop the ball? They dropped the ball because they don't understand storytelling. And I was talking about AO3 because a couple months back, once a year they do a fundraising drive on the website to help, so they can, the bandwidth and all that, and continue their work. And which everybody really who uses it really enjoys. And I was watching it, and you would think that they wouldn't make very much money, and they had something like, they were looking for $300,000 or something. I don't know what it was. It was, or 36,000. I don't know. It was some big
what a
number.
Bunch of robbers.
But I mean, I watched that, and hour after hour, the number just jumped and jumped until it went past what they expected to get, and it continued to go past it, and people continued for 2 more days to drive it up.
Sounds like Jimmy Wales should take notes from these people, from his Wikipedia fundraisers.
There is a love of fan fiction. And fan fiction, I mean, there's a lot of crappy fan fiction. There's a lot of shitty writing out there, but there's a lot of great writing. And that people who love fan fiction and read fan fiction and support it, they know that it is a part of the internet boiling things down to what people really want. You don't think ultimately the Mandalorian, the episodes I saw were just filled with a lot of well done, but just tropes we've seen before? I don't think so. I think
like Old West inspired kind of things.
Maybe. I mean, you have this sort
of...
The
gunslinger goes into the saloon. The guys are making fun of him, and they're going to get their comeuppance, and it happens exactly as you know it's going to happen. Some of it
definitely has this throwback feeling of what they were doing with Stranger Things, the Mind Flayer, and the way that they would present it, the formatting, but also just the music was very Conan the Barbarian. It was very throwback to that kind of feeling of an old tale.
And we've seen enough that we can
say, hey, we know what you did there.
Yeah, and people who are like 14-year-olds who are watching it might not have seen these other things, and so it feels very fresh to them.
Yeah, but I think it's like music. There's only so many pop music. There's only so many chords. I mean,
it's like
everything
when we were
back.
kids, we'd think something was amazing, but mom would not be impressed. And I think as we get older, we now realize, because she'd heard everything, she'd seen everything, she'd read everything.
We've transcended that. We've gone to the point where we're like, because of the internet, I think we've been able to say, yeah, we've seen it before, but they're doing it in a different way. But the point I'm trying to make about Disney and The Mandalorian is that I think Disney didn't think very much of it. And I think Jon Favreau decided he was going to do something very creative and very, very different. Something that was not reliant on what big budget films usually are completely reliant on.
And you think he knocked it out of the park?
I do. Because I think he relied solely on, do we have a good story? Do we have a fun story? Do we have a story people are going to follow? And if you start with that, the way all great fan fiction has to have that, because it won't get popular otherwise.
He took it back to the basics of strong storytelling.
Let me say why fan fiction is my go-to here. It's that on the internet, it literally will not get popular if people don't click on it, kudo it, and give it those view counts. It will not rise in the search engine. It won't get popular.
It's
That's
a dog-eat-dog world.
And nobody's making money off it either, except maybe AO3. but
it's not like in the old days of
obviously not
the
making money off it.
Where some really weak tea could be forced in front of the masses, and just because
that still happens.
Just because there was no internet and people didn't have options, millions of people would just watch it, and the studios would have a misunderstanding about people actually wanted, when the truth was they just don't have options.
Well, even on YouTube, you have thumbnails.
I'm helping you make your point.
On YouTube, you have thumbnails that are very clickbaity. You have, when you have a news story, you have clickbaity articles. You get titles. You have titles on YouTube that are clickbaity. You have that kind of thing. And with memes, you have an image. You don't even have an image with fan fiction. You have a title and an author name, and you know what genre it's coming from, what work it's being based off of, but that's all you know. And there are thousands, millions of others.
So would you say, in your opinion, fan fiction is the most difficult world to rise to popularity in?
I absolutely do, and I think that's why there's some fucking brilliant fan fiction out there. I mean, shout out to the Alexander Quick series by Inverity. Everyone should fucking read this. It's an American Harry Potter, and it is brilliant. I love it more than Harry Potter, and it is just based on great writing. And I think that Jon Favreau, he's one of those people like Jack Black who is, he is woke to the internet, to what's going on. And he's saying he's woke to creativity. He's woke to being an artist. And he's saying, yeah, I've made some of those big name films with big names, but I'm just going to do something creative that's based on story.
His character in Chef didn't know what Twitter was. There was a scene where his son was like, Dad, your restaurant's getting terrible reviews on Twitter. And his character's like, what? What's that?
Because I know that Jon Favreau knows what the fuck that's all about is why that film doesn't work. And there is no one who is that way. Even 80-year-old men know what Twitter is. They're in Florida, like, sending dick pics to the lady next door. But the point is...
80-year-old men in Florida, what were they like? Never mind.
But Jon Favreau knows what the fuck Twitter is. Fuck you, Favreau. But I love The Mandalorian. I think this is great, and I think it's great storytelling, and it is wonderful. It's brilliant because it's based on just a good story and nothing else. What is right for the story? I mean, there's a character in one of the episodes you haven't seen yet, and I'm not going to spoil it, but she's supposed to be some kind of mercenary, and she looks like a fucking mercenary. She's got some muscle. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I buy that.
Ryan,
I buy that she's carrying a gun around.
I might be getting fucked by Danny DeVito, but you're on your knees for Disney right now. In fact, Disney might think this advertisement for The Mandalorian is going so well, they might prop us up in the YouTube algorithm themselves.
Good, not for us, but for The Mandalorian, because I want to support great storytelling.
For us.
Okay,
I'm saying Disney will promote the show because we're promoting The Mandalorian so hard.
But I'm trying to say, I'm promoting The Mandalorian, and I want it promoted because it's great storytelling. And I want more great storytelling. I want storytelling that is not based on some big name star, on some huge political concept, or what's popular in the news right now. I want storytelling not based on a pretty face or a sexy body, or I want none of that. I want a story that is compelling and exciting and makes me laugh and smile and want to see the next episode.
So you're saying you're not going to go see Rise of Skywalker?
God, I don't want to see it.
You'll see it when it's free. Well, not free, but on Netflix.
I do and I don't. I mean, everything I've heard about it is what I could have guessed is happening. I mean, they've shoved a lot of crap in at the last minute because they didn't really do much with that last one, did they?
They've
and Adam Driver,
they've made creative
obviously amazing.
They've made creative decisions that are clearly reactionary to the reception of the last film. Like, oh, people didn't like this, and this, so we'll try to pivot. Which I think is the wrong thing to do.
I feel bad for Kelly Tran because she's
like
so
what you're saying about
charismatic
the
in interviews, and I feel like they didn't tap into that at all.
It's like you're saying everything about The Mandalorian and good storytelling and the bones of a great narrative. They should have just ignored what everyone was saying about The Last Jedi and just gone back to the basics of strong storytelling for The Rise of Skywalker. Since I don't agree that they should even be doing it, but if they had to do it that way.
Even the Kelly Tran debacle, I think if there had been a great story and she'd been given a great character, the fanboys wouldn't have fucking cared so much. I mean, they're wrong. They're wrong for attacking an actress. Attacking an actress online for a part she played, it's so fucking ridiculous.
So she's a...
But that never would have happened if she'd been given a great role. I believe that.
So she's a world-class space fighter pilot.
It's just every person in this Star Wars trilogy is stupid. Like, their characters, like if we're talking, this is a D&D game and we're given a list of attributes for each character and their backstory, it's stupid. None of it makes sense. None of it gels together. It's not think of The Mandalorian, this beautiful story, how everything's just sort of working, It's just sort of coming together. I
bet some people are watching wish they could feel as passionately about anything in life as you feel about The Mandalorian at this moment.
Go watch The Mandalorian. We paid for Disney Plus just to watch The Mandalorian. No other reason. Just that. Just to see it. And it was worth it. But, yeah, I feel like the opposite of what The Mandalorian is the Star Wars trilogy that's currently out.
You're arguing for Mandalorian harder than Bette Midler argued for Juniper Hollow and Big Business. The end.
No one's going to get that.
A few people will, and they'll really appreciate it.
Can you imagine the kind of person?
She doesn't remember being.
I really wish that her Twitter mention would do anything. But
Can you imagine your outrageous fortune? What if you were the biggest Bette Midler and big business fan in the world? I bet the last thing at this moment.
That's such a weird film.
Watching
to be a big fan
this
of.
podcast, I bet the last thing in the world you expected was a reference to your favorite film.
No,
that is outrageous fortune for you.
No, because there is no big fan of Outrageous Fortunes, just like there's no big fan of The Loving Spoonful.
Would you say...
You can appreciate it as a film, but there's nobody who's like, my whole life is about Outrageous Fortunes. I dress just like them. I want to live in Juniper Hollow.
So do you want, in closing, do you want to say something else really flattering about The Mandalorian?
I feel like I'm arranging a bouquet to offer them, maybe a cookie bouquet.
To The Mandalorian, you're what Guy Kawasaki was to Apple in the 90s and the 80s, and no one will get that reference but Mackids. Anyway, thank you. Peace, love.
Namaste.